Calie, the honey badger Cutler.
Uh-huh.
Can you tell me where you got your nickname from?
Is the honey badger. Watch it run in slow motion. It's pretty badass. Look, it runs all over the place. Whoa, watch out, says that bird. Ew, it's got a snake. Oh, it's chasing a jackal.
Oh, okay. So I did wrestle middle school through my junior year of college. When I got into MMA, my coaches actually threw me in 3 months of training, so I didn't really know how to throw punches yet. They put me against a boxer, which they were pretty nervous about. I guess I kind of just like ran through her punches and tackled her, and at the time, the honey badger video was popular. And someone was like,
Can you do the voice?
Yeah.
Of the gay guy who does that voice of honey
I
badger?
don't give a fuck. Not really.
Okay.
I don't do a very good gay guy voice. But
Yeah.
I guess someone was just like, that girl just does not give a fuck, and just kind of attached to the honey badger, I guess.
Growing up, do you come from a big family?
No, I actually was raised by a single father with 2 brothers, so very small kind of family. So it's probably where I get all wanting to live in a van, out in the woods, fighting people,
You know, that leads me into my next question. I see the backdrop here.
Mm-hmm.
We got your van. How long you been living in it, and what is van life like?
So I've only been in a month, so I can't tell too much. I can tell you about the learning curve. The learning curve is rough. Nothing but fun after that, though. It's so worth it. It's I would have to say learning how much people either love you for living in a van or how much people hate you for living in a van. Oh,
Why such strong opinions?
Oh, I don't know. I can't speak for other people, but there are some crazy ass Karens out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you were a kid, what did you imagine yourself doing when you grew up?
I wanted to be a wildlife cinematographer.
I hear that you're really into animals.
Yeah, yep. So I love the outdoors more than people, so I tend to be there more often. I only really come down from the mountain to go to MMA practice and Ralph people. Other than that, I just stay up where no one's at.
And for us ignorant few, what is Rolfing?
So Rolfing is, this isn't accurate, but it's probably the most accurate I can give to people. If you take chiropractic massage and you make them have a little hippie baby together, that's what Rolfing is. It's really about getting better range of motion for people, get them more upright. I do realize the irony of me talking about this as I slouch forward, but I've been riding a motorcycle for about 7 months, so my posture is not where it needs to be. I'm actually seeing my own Rolfer next week, so yeah.
And so how does a kid growing up with a single dad starts wrestling? How do you become a bare knuckle boxer?
Ooh, I think it's easier to say how you not.
Okay.
I guess it's just in there, just kind of like, this is where I need to go, I just kind of let where the wind blows me, and I end up there, and I'm always smiling, so I'm not gonna change my game plan.
And you've had 15 pro fights.
Yes, sounds right. But,
and
yeah.
How many more fights do you plan to have in bare knuckle boxing?
So for bare knuckle, I don't really have plans for that. I do have plans for MMA. I loved my bare knuckle boxing. Don't get me wrong, it was my favorite fight I have ever had. However, when I was done, I had a lot of jaw issues. Every time I'd talk, my lips would go numb, and only one side of my face would smile. So it's kind of like a career ender. It is the thing that led me to find Rolfing. So it's blessing in disguise. I got my face Ralphed, and now it's back and shiny. I can smile again. So yeah.
That is fascinating, and it is interesting how in life it's not always what we start doing that leads us where we need to go. It sounds like that's what's happening with you.
Yeah.
Is it true you're from Michigan?
Yes.
So how do you end up in Colorado?
So the only school for Rolfing is in Boulder, in America. I've always wanted to train at a bigger gym. However, kind of touring around the country, sampling gyms wasn't really in my budget. So when I went to school, I did decide to just try out high altitude. And when I was done with school, I just never went back to Michigan. So.
Has your family come out to see any of your fights?
My brother came out to visit in Colorado, but he's the only one I really have contact with in my family. So, yep.
And speaking of family, do you plan to have kids? Do you want to have a big family? I know you said you love animals more than people. What is your you
Yeah.
were to look into your crystal ball, what do you see?
Yeah, hard question for a professional athlete in
I
her
know,
mid-30s.
I know.
However, I do age differently than everybody else, so I will be fighting for, longer than everybody else. The kids thing, though, the problem is I gotta find a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the hardest part, especially since I'm so, it's that classic old story of a girl that's too career focused. I'm sure it'll all happen naturally. I'm
Yeah.
not too worried about it. I'm kind of letting the wind blow me where I need to go for that one. So I do want kids. I want little.
Yeah.
They're gonna take over the world. I
Yes,
guarantee
yes,
it.
yes.
But don't force it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How much longer do you think you will compete for?
Probably the minimum 39. That's my
Wow.
That's my minimum. Like I said, I don't age like everybody else, so that should be reasonable for me.
What's your earliest childhood memory?
I think I remember when my mother was pregnant with my youngest brother, and I remember playing with the one that's a little older than him, and I remember chasing him around trying to beat the crap out of him.
That's so nice. So nothing's changed.
No.
That's awesome. What's the hardest you've been hit in a fight?
It was the bare knuckle boxing,
Yeah.
and that was the thing that caused my jaw issues. Blessing in disguise led me to Rolfing, and it's I was working for a public health company in a laboratory before that, and I was pretty dissatisfied with my job. It was really cutting into my MMA career, and I feel like it really held me back from my potential. Whereas like now with Rolfing, I write my own schedule, I can move anywhere I want to be, I have this van, like total freedom. So it's been pretty nice.
How does someone become as courageous as you to try something so different from everyone else who's living their secular life?
I was born this way. I remember being on the swings in first grade, looking out at the playground and knowing I was different than everybody on the playground. So I guess it's I just followed my natural instinct. Yeah.
A lot of people probably feel that too, but few people have followed through on it like you have.
Yeah, part of it is I didn't really have a lot of options though, because I don't have a lot of like a safety net in life, so it's kind of like a sink or swim, which is a blessing in disguise once you're through it, but you don't always know that you're going to get through it. So give or take, roller coaster without seatbelts.
If you could give yourself a piece of advice looking back at your younger self, and for other up-and-coming fighters, male or female, what would it be?
I would have skipped the whole college route. I did get a degree in biology, and I started working for a corporation, and that was the worst thing that ever happened to me. It was soul crushing, and it really held me back. I really think I had a lot of potential, especially when I was younger, but it stunted me because I needed to pay bills, and I needed to pay those student loans, and boy, like the world will suck you into false promises. So just kind of be aware of what your options really are and what the consequences to all the options that are given to you.
It's a good call.
Yeah.
How was your experience on the Savage Gentleman show?
It's been pretty cool. Yeah. It's it's been, when they said, "Oh, bring out your van," I'm like, "Oh, this is so fun," It was interesting having to research fights because I am kind of an underground person. I mean, I go a couple days without internet sometimes. I haven't really been watching a lot of fights these past few years because I've been so concentrated on just what I'm up to. So it's kind of nice to get out of my shell, do something a little new. So.
Best and worst experience in this van?
There was one time I learned that you cannot put too much weight in the refrigerator or else it will open up when you take wide turns. I had 2 jars of unpasteurized goat milk that went flying everywhere. Covered everything. I had to throw away my carpet. It took hours to clean that up. So.
And the best?
Yeah, the best. Honestly, waking up every morning to a sunrise and just drinking, I make cacao and goat milk lattes every morning. No one else is around because I find dispersed campsites. Actually, this van can take me places a lot of cars couldn't take me, and the seclusion is just amazing. Yeah. So.
Someone shopping for one, what are the 5 things they should look for?
Well, you gotta figure out what are you looking to live in it. Is it for fun?
Right.
I would definitely 4x4 in Colorado. Don't get sucked into the all-wheel drive. They will try to convince you to buy the all-wheel drive because it's cheaper. Don't do it. For me, I love the size. I originally wanted smaller just for compact, but now that I have this size, I would go no other way. But I'm also living in it. And I would say, the shower for a lady.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
I look like this today because I paid the extra money for the shower. If you want to look good on the Savage Gentleman show, buy the shower. So.
Before I let our guests go, I always like to ask them this question: and what's the last random act of kindness that you experienced?
There are so many. I can't, wow, I would say I've experienced 25 in the past week.
Wow.
Yeah, it's when you start kind of putting yourself out there more, people are definitely not trying to knock you down more, but people are also going to help you get up. So I've been finding the van has actually been making my life very polarizing. You see the worst in people and you see the best. Just even people going anytime you want to swing by my house and fill up your water,
Wow.
go ahead. You know what I mean? So, everyone's always offering, you want to do laundry, come over. It's been kind of nice because, you hang out with a couple of people I never would have hung out before. So it's very odd. I get the seclusion, but I also get to choose to be around certain individuals more now. Just because of that offer. So.
I like it. And then, Calie, before we let you go, anything you'd like to plug? Anyone you'd like to thank? Is there an Instagram we can follow? Do you have a YouTube channel? Any shout outs that you'd like to make? Please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I've been told I should do the YouTube thing just because of how I live my life, but boy,
You can see how easy it is.
I don't want to. I like to just live peacefully. I do have an Instagram for my Rolfing. It's Bodywork by Badger. I try to keep up with that because I do understand business and socials go hand in hand. I do want to thank the Savage Gentleman show. This has been a lot of fun. Definitely worth coming down from the mountain for. Yeah, I guess that's it. Just look up my Bodywork by Badger. If you have any facial adhesions holding you back, I'm your gal. So, yeah.
And when's your next fight?
I have to get my own body right. Like I said, I had been driving a motorcycle for 7 months, and that actually has really done a lot of damage. I also separated my shoulder a few months ago. I've been putting that back together, which has been a fun project. And I also had a lot of dental work that made my jaw kind of go this way. So I'm seeing my own Ralpher. I'm going to the chiropractor. Once I get everything right, I'm going to predict spring.
Okay.
So.
Well, would you let us know when you do?
Uh-huh.
We'll have you back on.
Yes.
And then you can let us know how that experience went.
All right.
All
Sounds good. Yep.
Thanks again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate
Perfect.
it.